Donnie and Dolly, the team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Delaney's OK Tire and Langley inbox. Henderson must be on shrooms, man. Or he needs glasses. That ball was way off. Unsigned, by the way.
You got no legs to stand on, Ryan, for crying out loud. It was off.
Time for our second guest of the day. And by the way, as you can see, Donnie and Dolly, title sponsor, Able Auctions. If you have assets, inventory, or equipment that you need to sell, email sales at ableauctions.ca. Jeff Paterson joining us now. Jeff, thanks for doing this, sir, from Sekeres and Price. How are you?
I'm terrific, guys, and what an eventful first hour. Dolly being held hostage. I hear you guys, you're crushing it with the grade 1 set. And then I was confused because Dollywell talked about his love of Bonanza, which explained why he rode a horse to Ryan's wedding. But then apparently it wasn't Bonanza after all. It was Banana Splits. So.
Banana Splits. Yes. I got him. Yeah. It was like 400 years ago. I mean, come on.
Somewhere during this show, maybe tomorrow, we can come up with a shot of the Banana Splits. Just for Jeff.
Just for Jeff.
Okay, Jeff, Rookie Camp opens tomorrow with physicals. Any idea, and we've talked about this earlier in the week, any idea if Vasily Paterson is going to be more comfortable in, you can't help but make this comparison, more comfortable in Vancouver than Nikita Trampkin was?
Oh, I think so. I mean, he's at a different point in his life. This is a guy I think that has grown up wanting to play in the National Hockey League. Trampkin, we just never got to know, couldn't talk to him. There was the language issue, but, I think Paterson is a guy who was set on being a National Hockey Leaguer. And what I like most right now, guys, is the fact that he's here, that, there's no more paperwork issues. There's no more wondering or questioning. And we see this not just with Canucks Russians and some players that have to come from overseas, but we see it around the National Hockey League until guys are actually, on the ground here. There are those questions. But he's been here for the better part of a week now. He was out skating at UBC. Like, all of those little steps are going to help him. I saw a photo that Nils Höglander had posted of him and Klimovich out in the mean streets of Vancouver. So he's getting to know his young teammates. All of those things, I think, are going to help him settle in so that when it's time to get down to doing what he does for a living, and that's playing hockey, that he's going to be in the right mindset. Where I think Trampkin, it just sounded like there were constantly distractions and issues, and I'm not sure that he ever found that comfort level that hopefully Paterson has already found and will have for years to come.
You mentioned Danila Klimovich there. Any idea what the Canucks can expect from him?
No, honestly, no.
Yeah.
He really is a wild card. I think they took a swing for the fences with a second-round pick. They fell in love with this guy at that U18 tournament. He had the one big game with the hat trick. He scored 6 times over the course of that tournament, but for a guy that was playing in the Belarusian Junior League, let's be honest, this is going to be a step up for him in terms of competition and, other guys that are going to be better than he is. And how is he going to adjust? How is he going to, find the pace of professional hockey? And, a big leap, obviously, at a young age to leave his home and come over here. But again, another guy that's on the ground and has had a couple of days at least to lead into this camp. So, I think he's a complete wild card, Don. They love the raw potential. Can they harness it, though? And, can he harness it quickly enough to put his best foot forward at a camp like this one? Or is it going to stand out that this is a guy that, needs some coaching at higher levels coming from a league where clearly he stood out as the best because the level of competition around him, wasn't that significant. So I'm, if you ask me, and look, it's not a big camp. We saw that the other day, 11 skaters and 1 goaltender. So it's a short list. But if you ask me, who I'm most curious to see, I think I have a pretty good read on Paterson and what he's all about and what his game is going to look like. But for me, Klimovich is the guy I think that, I most want to see just to get my own eyes. I've seen video of him, but I haven't seen him in person. And so I'm looking forward to Friday. We in the media are going to be allowed into Rogers Arena to take again, or, the first day of on-ice sessions for this rookie camp. And I'm really looking forward just to getting back to the rink, getting back into the job. And I think Klimovich is the guy that I want to see the most.
Yeah, physically mature right now too, Jeff. He's got a pretty big-sized kid. I have to ask you, asked Murphy yesterday, where are you with Paterson and Hughes? Are you concerned? I mean, obviously a lot of people in this city are. Training camps next week, and these two are not signed.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I guess I'm not surprised just because negotiations go this way. We've all been at this long enough to have seen this play out. But, the flip side of that coin is the Dallas Stars were able to get Miro Heiskanen done to a significant deal in the middle of the summer. Cale Makar has his contract in place. And so there are other players that we were talking about going into the offseason who are signed, sealed, delivered. They're going to be ready for the start of camp. And I know that there are other high-priced RFAs out there. You've talked about Kaprizov in Minnesota. You talked about Brady Tkachuk in Ottawa, Robert Thomas in St. Louis. Each of those guys is one individual. The Canucks have two here that they have to figure out, and they just can't afford to be without the services of two of their best young players. So, am I expecting a resolution this week? For all involved, I'd love to see it. Love to see the players get paid. Love to see the hockey players or the hockey team have a little bit of certainty moving forward here. But this is the business of hockey, and I do expect that this will continue on and linger through the weekend. Am I concerned? No, but certainly, I look at Elias Pettersson, and we saw a photo. Quinn Hughes posted a photo of himself on the sideline, the big house on the weekend, taking in the Michigan-Washington football game. Didn't look like he had a care in the world. I'm sure Quinn Hughes is skating, and if he needs to skate with that powerhouse Michigan hockey club, he'd be welcome back there. Pettersson is different to me because, look, the wrist injury, first of all.
Yeah.
We've seen the video in the offseason of him shooting pucks. That's great. That's one thing. But let's see him do it in traffic against other pros. I want to know that wrist is 100% healthy and ready to go. And if you think back to last January when there were no exhibition games across the board for everybody, but Pettersson got off to that really slow start. And at the end of the year, he was asked about it. And you could see that had stuck with him, that he knew he didn't get off to a great start. I think he had 2 points in the first 8 games. Hockey club kind of fell behind the 8 ball, got off to a slow start. The minute he signs that contract, the pressure is going to be on. There's already pressure on him, but once he starts under this new contract, people are going to want to see this guy earning his keep. He has to be ready to hit the ground running. And I think my fear is that, if it drags on and Elias Pettersson doesn't get preseason games under his belt, then you're looking at the threat of another slow start. He's got to prove to himself that wrist is healthy. And so, we've done this before with Horvat and Besser, but the stakes are high. Yeah. Jim Benning has laid this out for all, that this is supposed to be a playoff team. If they're going to be a playoff team, they can't stumble out of the gate. They need their best players, and Pettersson and Hughes are two of those guys. And so, look, fans want to see the best players. I think we in the media want to see the best players. We want to see, with all the change that's happened with this hockey club over the offseason, what do they look like? And so if they start up training camp next week without one of or both Hughes or Pettersson, that's going to set this organization back a little bit. So stakes are going up here. We're getting to some pressure points. And I do think that the next 7 days, obviously, some significance for the Vancouver Canucks here.
Yeah, you mentioned change, and you tweeted out the Canucks opening roster from last year. A good chance there's going to be 10 new faces this time around. Hey, Jeff, before we let you go, Richard Brodeur turned 69 today. Your memories of King Richard and what he did in 1982.
Yeah, I was a 12-year-old kid at the time. I was fortunate enough. I had a best friend who had 4 season tickets, and I went to a ton of games, including got invited to both of the Stanley Cup final games in Vancouver. So I saw the cup presented on Pacific Coliseum ice. But, through that run, obviously King Richard emerged, this undersized goaltender. But, man, did he come up big time and time again. And I just think of him in that shot in Chicago after the win and, raising his blocker hand with a stick. My personal connection to Richard Brodeur is through that run, my older brother babysat for the Brodeurs every game night. Whenever there were games, they lived a couple blocks away, and my brother had that assignment of looking after the Brodeur kids so that Richard could play the games, his wife could go and spectate. And so have a little connection there. I don't know what it was about Canuck goaltenders in my sort of childhood. Richard Brodeur lived a couple of streets away. Ken Lockett rented a house up the street, other side of our street, but on our street. And Gary Smith used to come in his big brown Cadillac and pick Ken Lockett up for practices and games. And the number of times that we had to move the nets from our road hockey game, and those two guys would stop. They signed pictures for us. like as young kids growing up as Canuck fans and just hockey fans, the idea of two NHL goaltenders stopping and chatting and giving us pictures, it was incredible stuff. So
nice stuff.
I sort of have a soft spot for old-time Vancouver Canuck goaltenders.
Yeah, Demko's not renting out your basement suite. Is there any chance?
To the best of my knowledge, I think he can afford a little better.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
true. Hey, Jeff, thanks so much for this again. Rookie camp opens tomorrow with physicals. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys. Thanks.